Welcome to Here's the Deal, where we educate, elevate, and inspire entrepreneurs. On Here's the Deal podcast, we bring 30 years of business banking experience to you. And we tell the real stories of business owners, the challenges, the lessons, and the wins that define their journey. Through Here's the Deal video marketing, we help you share your story with the world, creating high-quality video content that's easy, comfortable, and connected, because the story sells, not the numbers. Here's the Deal Production is a coaching, consulting, and production division designed to help entrepreneurs, business owners, and industry experts launch, grow, and professionally manage your podcast platforms without the technical barriers that often prevent the execution. You bring us a story, we'll refine the vision. Every entrepreneur has a story worth telling, and then Here's the Deal, that's where that story comes to life. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, I am the host, Chris Flowers, and we're at another edition of Here's the Deal. I noticed lately that the pendulum is swinging back, that people are craving real in-person connection again. Okay. Now let's be real. Okay. Video calls aren't going anywhere. I mean, and they shouldn't, because like I deal with people like around the world. So definitely can't do that in person. I wish I could. I had the budget and had a Gulfstream, but that's a whole different subject. But anyway, we'll get there someday. No, but hey, screens aren't going anywhere. I mean, you know, video meetings are always great. At least you still get that somewhat tangible connection if you're on video as opposed to like a phone call or an email. But at the same time, you know, nothing's really going to take the place of a good handshake, some eye contact, and especially being able to read the room, you know? So like video built bridges that didn't exist before. Like, you know, before COVID in 2020, you know, we were doing the, you know, regular face-to-face thing, driving around town, things like that. But now we have global reach. And not only, you know, we're doing meetings, you know, more quickly, like getting those meetings in, and it's a way lower cost. So there's definitely nothing wrong with that when you're looking at the bottom line, you know. But, you know, when you're, you know, in a meeting, you know, like a Zoom meeting or something like that, you know, what you're not catching are those side conversations, you know, or you're not feeling that energy in a room, or, you know, you're not having a, hey, let's go grab a coffee afterward or something like that. Like I said, side conversation. I was at lunch one day and somebody was overhearing our conversation and chimed in, and I overheard on their conversation and chimed in, things like that. So it's like you don't catch those kind of things. Or, you know, I was just at another you know, I've been to more than a few networking where, you know, I'll be sitting there talking to somebody and somebody will come walking right up and join in, of course. And, you know, cool. All right, come on in. You know, that's what we're here for. We're here to network. We're here to have a conversation. So people can't do that when you're on a Zoom. You know what I mean? So it's good one-to-one, but at the same time, you know, you can meet, you know, a few more different people and have like, you know, really good cross conversations going between like 3 or 4 people, you know, it'd be great. Because you got to build the trust, you know, and trust, you know, you got to build that rapport, you know, and you can do that faster across a table than you can across a screen. You know what I mean? Because you got that feel for the person. I mean, video is great. I mean, you could still see facial expressions, kind of see if they're checking out or something like that or whatever. But at least at the same, when you're in that person's presence, you're feeling that energy. Like, yeah, they're feeling this, right? Or like I said, even just having that side conversation, somebody else come over. Now you're getting 2 for the price of 1. You know, so you definitely can't beat that. Talk about a force multiplier, right? The one thing I learned from 30 years of commercial banking is that there's a difference between a productive networking meeting and just busy. You know what I mean? You know, back then it was great. I had a salary. I got mileage reimbursement. I had an expense card. Running all over town just, you know, that's just the way things were done, you know, back 100 years ago when I was a young banker. But now, you know, time, especially being a business owner, time is your biggest asset. Okay. Every coffee, every lunch, every event, you know, it's got to have some return to it. You know, it's got to earn the spot, because you can't be spending, you know, especially, you know, like I said, back in, you know, I live in the West Valley of Phoenix. And if you're trying to make a, you know, early morning deal over in Scottsdale, you're looking at an hour and a half windshield time. Why am I, you know what I could do in an hour and a half, you know, with my business? No, we're not doing all that. You know what I mean? So not unless it better be, especially not for a discovery meeting, like it better be like the money, like the checks in hand, that I'll go. But if we're just doing like a discovery meeting, nah, we're going to Zoom, dude. I ain't doing all that. So I think, I really think that the right room beats the biggest room. So you got to pick and choose, like I said, which one of these networking groups and events that you're gonna attend. Again, time is, especially for a business owner, is the most valuable thing. You can't get time back. You can make money back. You can lose employees, gain it back. You can lose customers, bring it back, you hope. But time is finite, man, and you're not getting it back. So if you're going to spend time doing something, it better be paying off. One other thing I noticed said, the Unplugged movement is real. Okay, because I just got invited to a group of young professionals. I was easily the oldest person in the room, by far. Like, I was old enough to be like every one of their dads. It was pretty sad. So, but I got invited, and it was a bunch of young professionals. They even called the group Unplugged. JC and Sarah's group. It was great turnout, great energy. And it was the younger generation. And they were craving that one-to-one. They were like, they're like, hey, screens down, eyes up, man. Let's get in touch with each other. I thought it was great. And I said no screens. And the funny part is most of these kids had business cards, and I'm the oldest guy in the room with the electronic business card. Like, I don't do paper cards anymore. Here's a funny contrast, because even my kids are 19 and 18. And they're all, they're always talking to me about, like my daughter literally has a turntable record player, right? And a CD player. She loves the CD players. And my son has cassette tapes. And I'm like, God, you don't even know, especially a cassette tape. Oh my God. You don't know what anger is until your favorite mixtape gets eaten by your car stereo. Bro, that's rage right there. That's straight. Anybody, like I said, but Gen X age, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're like, no. We had in New York, there was a DJ, cool DJ Red Alert, right? And at night, he'd be spinning it, right? And so you put your tape in, and you just record his show all night, right? And you get up the next morning, you got you're in bed. You get up the next morning, you hear what cool DJ Red Alert spun out, the night before, things like that. And it was killing it, right? He's just killing it. And you get that tape and you put it in the car, you're bobbing your head. You're like, yeah, what's up? And then all of a sudden, if the car ate your tape, you're like, no. Oh my God, the rage, bro. The rage. That's happened to me on more than one occasion. I was pissed. Or you get your favorite mixtape you made for your girl. You got all the jams on there. Yeah, what's up? Oh, yep, mad, dude. Just straight up anger. So, all my Gen X people, you're all like, yep, preach. So, yeah, it was great to be in a room with a bunch of young professionals, and they were getting at it. Like I said, like the old school was coming back, man. They were like, we're collaborating, we're doing all kinds of stuff. I was hanging in with them just fine, because it was definitely more my set. They weren't. I mean, of course, some of the kids were talking about some new age things, but then even like I said, they're like, "Oh yeah, you use AI, you use." I'm like, "Yeah, man." Like I'm telling them all the little tricks, and they're like, "Oh wow." I'm like, "Yeah, I might be old, but I still got game. I still got not that kind of game. I still got business game. I still I'm adapting to the new environment. Things like that." I said. And then it was just cool that they, this is what they were craving. This was their one, and everybody was into it. It was so funny because even when we were there, I was talking to somebody, and somebody it was in a bar, right? And then, but it had an open patio, and somebody was walking by that one of the girls knew. And she goes, hold on, man, I know this. And then she went over to lean over banister, and she called the two guys in and stuff like that, that she knew that were walking by or something like that. It was just, I don't know if they were looking for it just to kind of walk by the place, but it was just kind of cool that everybody was just so into it, and the energy was just fantastic. I loved it. So, it kind of tells you, where things are heading, old school, man. It still works sometimes. I mean, I'm not talking about going back to doing Excel spreadsheets and doing all that nonsense. We're not going all that road. But at the same time, a good handshake and a good sit down will beat a DM or an email any day of the week. And I think that's the thing. A lot of people hide behind emails and they hide behind the DMs. But if you show up in person, or if you send somebody like a video message, you're going to stand out just by default, because not everybody's doing it. Everybody's all shook and scared or whatever. They're hiding behind that stuff. No, man, when you're face to face, I've had so many times when I walked into a building and they're like, nah, and they're like, telling me basically to get the F out and this and that and the third. And I just started laughing. Within a couple minutes, I turned the conversation around. They're pretty much inviting me to lunch. Like, hey, let's go grab a drink or whatever. They're like, so you can't do that on a video. You know what I mean? You got to be able to, get that vibe and read the room and, turn stuff around. So, referrals are going to come from people that have actually met you. Nobody's going to just refer you from like an email, or you know what I mean. And I really think that a good handshake could probably replace like 10 cold emails. The likelihood of a close. So that's the thing. The more interaction that you have, and again, video's not going anywhere. I use video all the time. Like I said, I talk to people all over the world. So, I have to use video, but if you can find that one quality group in person to get connected with, I got quality virtual groups too, H7, Alignable. But I'm in Alignable here, in Phoenix for face-to-face meetings, things like that. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to plug this new Unplugged group. They're coming out with logos. They're brand new, just started. I think they had like 2 meetings. These kids, JC and Sarah, they're doing a great job. So if you're in the Phoenix area, you may want to check this one out. Just saying. But if you can find that one group, not 20, one, maybe 2, quality over, there's a bunch of groups out there, and it's a social club, it's like, but at the same time, we're not here to make friends. We're here to do business. Okay, remember that. You're not here to make friends. You're here to do business. So there's got to be some. We're gonna get sociable. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna get to know each other. But at the same time, there's got to be some return on there. You know what I mean? Just like anything else, just like we talked about with podcasting, things like that. It's the consistency. The more you show up, and that's any network, virtual or in person, the more you're going to show up, the more people are going to, build that know, like, and trust factor, And again, you want to have a clear, message. You want to have a clear, people are, have a give and an ask and things like that. I always say, you never get married on the first date. You know what I mean? And I said, I've been at network groups before where it's like, hey, it's like, I don't know you that well yet to where I'm going to like just do business with you, like refer people to you or things like that. But see, that's what, at least that thing is, hey, let's set a follow-up call. Let's set another meeting, let's talk more, things like that. Hey, you might hit it off the bat where, hey, I got a referral for you. Like, oh, great. Cause if the vibe is there, hey, don't fight it, but some people got to feel out a little more, things like that. So, but again, you're not able to do that, I don't think, on a screen as well as you are face to face. Although I've built some great relationships that people I've never met before. It was kind of funny because I met JC before in person, but I never met Sarah before. I've only seen her on video, even though she was in Scottsdale and I'm on the West Valley. But this was our first actual in person. But it was kind of cool because we had talked so much on video. It was like we knew each other anyway. It was like we literally saw each other a bunch of times. But it was just cool to be in each other's presence. I was really kind of digging that. So when you do get those opportunities, like I wish I could have gone. They had a big 8-7 is a virtual group, but they had a big old function not too long ago. And I think it was in Tennessee. I would have liked to have gone that. Next year I'm going to go. Just to get to see the people that you're in all these groups with, face to face and in person, things like that. If I get to meet Clay in person, I think it's going to be really fun. I think we're going to have a good time. He and I cut it up pretty well anyway. So here's the deal. Technology connects us, but humans, we're always going to close the deal. You know what I mean? So it's got to be that quality interaction. You can get some good quality interaction on screen. Like I said, I've built a lot of relationships, people I haven't met before, but at the same time, you get that good person that's, in your neighborhood that, hey, I can call this person, we can go do a joint meeting. Like Eric and I are going to a joint meeting here next week, things like that. and have that real impact. You know what I mean? Like I said, video's still great. Video's not going anywhere. I use it all the time. You're looking at me on video now, but at the same time, when you get to actually meet them in person, then it kind of sets in. You know what I mean? So, in closing, just want to let you know that, you know, if you got a story that you want to tell and you got a brand that you want to grow, okay, here's the deal can help you with both of that. As you know now, we just came out with the new product. Our Here's the deal productions, where you bring the story and we're going to refine the vision. And it always with here's the deal video marketing. Like I said, it's going to be easy, comfortable, and connected, because it's not the numbers that sell, it's the story. Okay, and we got to get that story out there for you. So, like I said, hit the contact, links below, things like that. You want to, you can email us at info@here'sthedeal.biz/marketing. Hey, just give me a call, 623-308-9732. All right, remember, educate, elevate, and inspire. That's Here's the Deal. Here, in closing up the show, and Here's the Deal, just want to give all honor, glory, and praise to my Lord Jesus Christ, who saved my soul and gives me the ability to do this show. Without him, I couldn't do anything. Also want to give thanks to my family. My wife, my kids support me doing this, and backing me up. I couldn't do any of this without them. Also, got to thank the sponsors, of course. Everybody that supports the show, and of course the fans, the people that subscribe to the show. I wouldn't do any of this without you, because it wouldn't be a show. So just want to say thank you all very much. Continue to educate and elevate. Get out there, pursue your passions, pursue your dreams.